Hey, what is up, you guys? And welcome back to my channel here, Just Simply Sports with me. I am Kaja, and if you are new to my channel, I want you to stop whatever you're doing right now and hit the like and subscribe button for me. And if you're not new, you've been here. You know how I feel about you, family. Let's just get right into it. Eastern Conference Finals. Let's just talk about it because I have been watching the Celtics very closely lately, and I've said, I want to see a few things before I really come on here and say something. Now, a few months ago, I spoke about the Celtics, and I said, let me give it some more time because obviously it was beginning of the season, and there was still plenty more games to go. So I'm watching them play against OKC, who was missing. The Batman was there. I call Batman SGA. Robin was gone. Jalen Williams out to injury, and I said, you know what, they might beat OKC tonight because obviously Shea's been on the roll with 30 points and 40 points, 50-point games. So he might be a little bit tired. He's missing his right hand. So others are going to have to step up. They're going to have to shut SGA down and force others to beat you. And although the game was close and competitive, I said, ooh, something's off here. And it was more confirmed to me that I feel like we may end up having a Cleveland Cavaliers versus Milwaukee Bucks Eastern Conference Finals. And you may be like, Kaja, you are completely off your rocker. You're going batshit crazy, and that's fine, but just hear me out. One thing about the Celtics over the past few years, if you go back to when they played the Warriors in the finals and they lost, right? On their own home court, confetti coming down, disappointment all over their faces, body language. You could tell they were disappointed, right? So they come back better the season after that. And they lose to Miami Heat team who barely got in the playoffs and they lost to them. You know what I mean? Have to live with that all season long. This is two times now that they had the more talented roster. They should have won, but they didn't. You have to hear all season long, okay, how long is this going to work? Should we trade JB? Can JT and JB win a championship? Can JT carry his team to championship? You hear all these naysayers talk all these things about you. So last season, they came out on a clear mission. You could tell from the opening game that they wanted it. They were tired of the narrative they couldn't win. Whatever it was that was, feeding them. Everybody had their own individual, obviously, reasons for one. That Al Horford's older, but you could tell as a collective, they really, really wanted it, and they played like it. They played together. They brought in Kristaps Porzingis to level them up a little bit more, and you could just feel like, okay, like this team is a different Boston Celtics team this year. They're going to be really, really hard pressed to beat, and obviously they end up winning the championship. This season, I feel like there's nothing like your first, right? Like no matter how many times, you go to the amusement park or, you have a new boyfriend, new girlfriend, you don't forget your first love and things of that nature. And I feel like they're gonna go on to win more championships, obviously. But you cannot recreate the first time that you won. You know what I mean? When you held it up, the parade, all those different things. And I feel like there's just something about them that's just not as hungry this season. And when that happens, you have other teams who are just talented, who are evenly matched with you, especially the Cavaliers are really matched with them really, really well, from 1 through 5. And I'm like, ooh, I fully expected the Cavaliers to be there in the end. The thing to me that does give Boston the edge, aside from how it feels a little bit more nonchalant, so to speak, if you want to use that word, in terms of their hunger, for winning that championship or for going back to back. The Cleveland Cavaliers are obviously have the best record in the NBA, 55-10. But when you look at their leader, right, Donovan Mitchell, we don't really talk about him enough. I think because he is not as flashy as maybe an Ant-Man. He's not electrifying. I guess like John Morant. When he's on those crazy dunks that fly through the air, things of that nature. So you kind of feel like we don't really give him enough credit or pay enough attention because he's more of a quiet, kind of superstar. He's not the commercials like Jason Tatum is. He doesn't have really endorsements like that. Although he really, really should. There's an argument to be made that where his endorsements at? Why does he have any commercials and things like that? But nevertheless, when you look at Donovan Mitchell's stats, right, you look at his minutes specifically, he is averaging no more than 31.2 minutes roughly. And it's obviously a 48-minute game. And when you're watching someone who is, by all accounts, he could be in an MVP conversation, right? But I think he kind of flies under the radar because he doesn't have that personality to just kind of jumps out at you in terms of, the flashiness or the arrogance or the cockiness, things like that. But he is still a superstar in this league, especially on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And they remind me a little bit of the old Boston Celtics in terms of, okay, can Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland work together? Should we trade one or the other or whatever have you? Kenny Atkinson came over and said, you know what, I got this. I know what to do. And look at them now, obviously 55-10, the best record in the NBA. So I like to say, when you have a player like Donovan Mitchell, who, if you watch their games, there are times when he just passes up open shots and he makes sure that he gets everybody else involved. And that's something else that's really, really needed because it's a team sport, obviously. It's not just one person. You don't want the strength of one talented individual. You need a superstar or two superstars. You need a strong supporting cast. And they have just that. Everybody from Ty Jerome, Max Strus, Darius Garland, Mobley Allen, I mean, you name it, right? And they fared really nicely against Boston. But I feel like if it came down to it, and I feel like it will at some point in the playoffs, I'm going to go ahead and give the Cavaliers the edge. Not because I feel like they are a better team than Boston. I'm not by any means saying that. I feel like there's just something about this Cleveland Cavaliers team this year, led by Donovan Mitchell, led by Kenny Atkinson. Coaching is so important. I feel like we really pay that much attention to coaching because it's like, oh, he's the coach, and you focus more on the players. But please know, in my humble opinion, you guys, coaching matters just as much as the players that are on the court. Kenny Atkinson spent years under Steve Kerr, and you may feel the way about Steve Kerr because he benched his team in the Olympics. That's your opinion on the conversation, right? But really and truly, when you watch someone and you've seen them win at the highest level, not once, not twice, but 4 times, right? You pick up a lot of that being right, obviously, up under him. You know what I mean? Figuratively speaking, and pick up those tips and tricks. If you look at what Kenny Atkinson is doing, in my opinion, I'm looking at how he's playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I'm like, you know what? They remind me of the Warriors, just the way he's playing. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland reminds me not exactly the same, but reminds me of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, just the way he has the way he orchestrated those pieces to me. I'm like, okay, I kind of see what he took from his time under Coach Kerr. And it's great because it's working. Look at what they had last year. Same pieces, by the way, except for Hunter, who obviously just got traded there a few weeks ago. But you look at what they had last year, pretty much the same thing. And even before he got there, they were already winning in the East. So it was like he changed the record drastically. But I really feel like when it comes down to it, who's going to be the player that steps up? I fully expect Jaylen Brown to step up and be there. JT, he's going to be there. I'm not discrediting him or worried that he's not going to show up. I believe Donovan Mitchell's going to show up. Obviously, Darius Garland. But to me, the players that you got to keep an eye out on, or the players that I say that are going to be the pieces that, what's the word I'm looking for, you guys? Right tip of my tongue. Who has to have like the standout night, right? Who has to come into the series or into the game 7, game 6, whatever it is, and really have an awesome like superstar game? I'm gonna say it's gonna be Evan Mobley. And then for the Celtics, it's going to be Derek White, because we're not worried about the stars of each team, but it's the others to me that step up and make a difference when it comes to championships and to playoffs. And I feel like those two from their teams are going to be the difference makers. That's what I'm you guys, the difference makers. I feel like those two are going to have to be the difference makers, because you can't count on Kristaps Porzingis to be there. He's there, he's not. He's healthy, he's not. They're better, with him in the lineup, but you can't depend on him, and that's the problem. So Derek White to me is always available. He's always going to do whatever you need him to do, whether it be scoring, rebounds, diving on the floor for the ball, blocks, like whatever it is, he's going to do that and then some. And then you have someone like Peyton Pritchard, who has made leaps and bounds. Like, I mean, you look at him last season, look at him this season, like, wow, he was really working on his game, because you just see like his stars are starting to ascend. Look at Ty Jerome on the Cleveland Cavaliers side. I'm like, okay, they're both up for Sixth Man of the Year. I believe going to go to Peyton Pritchard, you know what I mean? But maybe Ty Jerome, because Cleveland Cavaliers had a better record. We'll have to wait and see. But they fare out so evenly and so nicely. I feel like it's going to come down to coaching. It's going to come down to who wants it more. And for that, and for those reasons, I'm going to give it to the Cleveland Cavaliers when they, not if, but when they meet up sometime in the playoffs, you guys. What do you think about what I'm saying? Are you thinking I'm crazy? You're like, girl, stop it, okay? Like the Milwaukee Bucks will not be in the conference finals. It's going to be Cavaliers and Boston Celtics for sure. Let me know in those comments, and I will see you in the next video.